Catterall, I think that's where it's all coming from. He feels hard done by with the result. I think Taylor just thinks that he's better than Catterall. She may lose her next fight. She's got a really tough opponent, so she needs to focus on that. Karen Carver-Hall is no game, no joke.
Hi and welcome to the Real Women of Boxing. Today's guest, I'm always excited to see her. She's a former Olympian, IBO lightweight champion, Caroline Dubois. How you doing? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. We go back a while, but yeah, it's always good to see you and catch up again.
I know. It does make me smile just seeing you and seeing how much you've blossomed over the years. It's great.
Oh, it's amazing. The journey's been good, and it's always good to sometimes have a look back. And it's easy to get caught up in the moment and just think about what's next. But sometimes it's nice to just reflect and be like, damn, I come from and where I'm coming from and what I'm doing and things like that.
I just had a little image then of you. It just literally popped into my head of you on the bag at Islington as a young kid. When I first met you, a bit cocky, not in a bad way, let's rephrase that. Confident, hitting the bag.
Yeah, I mean, I was very confident. When it came to boxing, maybe not anything else, but put me in the ring, put me in a gym, I was confident that was where I'm comfortable. Fish into the water, that was who I am, and that's where I'm from.
Yeah, tip tapping away. It was nice. Anyway, we'll catch up on your latest news and we'll discuss your recent title fight in a bit. But I first want to talk about, oh my gosh, today's press conference, a little bit heated. Taylor Catterall 2 leads April 27th. It's taken 2 years to make it to this second fight. I honestly thought the hatred for each other would have simmered a little bit over the 2 years. Apparently not.
Unfinished business, I think they've got, and there's so much bitterness between them. Obviously, with Catterall, I think that's where it's all coming from. He feels hard done by with the result, and I think Taylor just thinks that he's better than Catterall. He thinks he's better than him. He's fought the likes of Teofimo Lopez. Obviously, he's lost, but we all know how good Teofimo Lopez is. He's beat Vasily Lomachenko. He's fought the likes of Jose Ramirez. He's fought all these world champions, and Catterall just coming around, and he just thinks he has no business being in the ring with him. And you can see that clash. And it's exciting. I feel like this is what boxing needs. A good domestic showdown, and it's going to be good. I'm excited.
Do you honestly think that then? You think that, like, in the quiet times, Taylor's like, literally, you can't lick my boots, Catterall, so just calm yourself?
I think so. I think there's a lot of, from his side at least, he feels like he's better than him. He feels like he didn't turn up, and his performance, obviously, the last time they fought was subpar, and that's the only reason why Catterall looked so good. It wasn't just because of how good Catterall was, but more of how bad he was. I've seen a few of his interviews. He keeps saying he wasn't, he never prepared. He overlooked him, and obviously Catterall was able to capitalize on that and put on such an amazing performance, and really push it down the wire. And I think just that negativity, like, imagine if you're Catterall and you're hearing that, like, this guy is saying pretty much that you have no business being in the ring with him. The only reason you look so good was because I was so bad. That clash of, the attitude, and it's just clashing a bit. But it's exciting for the fans. We don't care. We just want to see, them tear each other's throats out and stuff like that. That's all we care about. And hopefully it isn't lost in the press conferences and the interviews. It's lost, they can settle it in the ring. Hopefully they don't, burn out before the fight, but they can make it happen on the night,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, talking about grabbing up throats, Catterall was grabbing up Taylor, and I think that comes from the pure frustration, like you said, of him losing that last fight. On paper. I mean, obviously it was a controversial fight. Many people believe that Jack Catterall won that fight. And listen, Caroline, you and I know that in public we can all say, people in the game, we can all say whatever we need to say in front of the camera. But you as a fighter, listen, surely when you've lost in the past in the amateurs, obviously not in the pros, you go back in the quiet times and you know yourself when you've lost. And I guess that's why I wonder whether Taylor hasn't just said, "Do you know what, I'll put my hands up. I don't think I won that fight."
I don't know. Obviously, everyone takes losses and everyone takes close fights and bad decisions differently. You know, you see some people screaming and having a fit. You see some people that just brush it off and think about what's the next move, and everyone takes it. Everyone reacts differently to things, and I think Taylor he reacted how he did. Catterall reacted how he did, and that's what has built this fight. You know, their reactions. You know, Catterall was banging on saying he was robbed. You know, thousands of people who watched it were saying he was robbed. And Taylor isn't backing down. He isn't giving Catterall, his credit. He's saying, no, I think I won that fight. And if you want to settle it, we can settle it. So it's interesting. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a really good fight. You know, I like both of the guys, Catterall and Taylor. Taylor's a southpaw. I like southpaws. He's an aggressive southpaw, and he's got an exciting style. So it's going to be a good night.
You know, you just mentioned about, obviously, Taylor being at world level, having some huge fights in his career. Fought Teofimo Lopez. He also fought, I can't remember his name. That's really bad. Regis Prograis. That was a tough fight. And people are saying that has taken quite a lot out of him and he's not the same fighter. Would you agree?
What you're saying is true. A lot of times, hard fights take it out of people. You know, we see it so many times. Those grueling 12-round fights. You know, you're not the same fighter when you step in the ring again. I'm not really sure. I think he had one or two bad performances. Obviously, he had the Catterall, and then he went on and lost to Teofimo Lopez. But, you know, Teofimo Lopez was the best around. That guy beat Vasily Lomachenko. When he's on his A game, he's on his A game. So you can't really compare about that. You know, when two good people step in the ring, one of them has to lose. Obviously, it was just time to lose. And then you obviously, so he's had two not the best performances back to back. And I think this one is gonna let a lot of people know where he's at. Is he washed, or, you know, was it just, you know, not his night and he was up against it? I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. They're gonna do a lot of talking. They're gonna build it up the way that boxing needs a good fight to be built up. And British boxing definitely misses that and needs that. And you know, everyone's gonna tune in, and I'm excited for it. And yeah.
I'm excited for it as well. I think they kept us waiting a little bit too long, but I think everyone's salivating for this, to be fair.
Definitely. I think, as you said, it's one that was in the making. It's one that people are calling for. It's one that has unfinished business. And it's one that, you know, both teams probably feel like it's an itch that needs to be scratched. And it's something that they both want to settle and deal with and let, you know, everyone know who's the top man. And yeah, so I'm excited.
Saturday night, the 24th of February, Dina Thorslund, she's held the WBO bantamweight title since 2021, and she's held the WBO super bantamweight title since 2018. She takes on Seren Cetin in a unification fight for the WBO and WBC World Bantamweight titles. I
know Dina Thorslund. I remember she came over to the UK and did a sparring at Repton with me, Dennis McCann, Adam Mohammed, and I remember sparring her when I was like, maybe 16, 17? No, maybe 17, 18. I'm not even sure. I was really young. I was like 16, 17, that kind of age. And I sparred her there. And one thing I could say is that she was strong. She was crazily strong. I've never, you know, she's a bantamweight, obviously. At the time, let's just say she wasn't a bantamweight. I've been in with a lot of women and I've sparred a lot of people. And I remember the power that she had. And that was what stood out to me the most, was the power that she has. And I think with that, she's been able to maneuver herself very well. Like, she hasn't been beaten. She's obviously consistently she's a world champion. She's consistently been in good fights and consistently won, and I think it's the power that's allowed her to do that a lot.
She is. Was she still an amateur then, or had she already turned over by the time you sparred her?
She turned pro. She just come round for rounds. Who was it? I think she was fighting a Mexican. I don't know the name of the person she fought, but she won. I think she stopped the girl. Yeah, so she was pro by then.
I mean, she had a great amateur career, and I've interviewed her a couple of times before, and she was saying, obviously she, I think it was because of she had a child and sort of family issues, and then ended up, trying to juggle the amateur career. It wasn't working, so she went over into the pro scene, if I remember correctly. But you're absolutely right. I mean, listen, that girl looks like she can absolutely smash through people, but she lives the life. She really does live the life. Like you say, consistent. She trains really hard. She's not one of these people that has little breaks in between. She's very focused, doesn't get caught up in the drama of the sport. I really like her. I really, really like her. It's a slight shame, though, we don't get to see her a little bit more on this side.
Definitely. I wish people like her, there's so many women like her right now who are very unnoticed, but they're very good. And I think there's fights to be made on this side. I feel like England, the UK, has probably got the best women's boxing scene about, especially even for the I think it's bantamweight. There's a few girls out there, Nina Hughes, I think, is bantamweight. Joanna, a French girl, Joanna Wayonu, she just turned pro. She is a bantamweight. Like there's good girls, based in and around England, especially at bantamweight. So, it'll be good for the British fans to get a good fight. And I think Dina would be a good, opposition, a good opponent for all these girls. And she wouldn't be turning up in those fights as an opponent. She'd be definitely turning up as the champion, and with the champion mentality that she's going to win. So yeah, I wish she could have a fight over here, and we could see, how good she is up live in person, close up. So yeah, I'd hope that could happen. I don't know if it will, unfortunately, but for politics.
I'm sure she's got a manager here. Cetin, I'm sure he's something to do with her. So I find it. It's not it's not impossible to make those fights, because, like I say, she's got a British management team. Yeah, the politics. It's one of those things that if you're being managed by someone British, but they're also managing a British fighter, who are they going to give those opportunities first? They might be torn a little bit with regard to their loyalty, rather than just thinking, well, this is a business and I'm just going to give opportunities to the best. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Definitely. Boxing should be about who's the best. It should be about that, but unfortunately it isn't. It's about politics. It's about who's the best ticket seller, who's the bigger name, who's got the most Instagram followers and stuff like that. So that's just the way it rolls, and unfortunately.
Yeah, but you hit the nail on the head. Cetin is from Turkey, her opponent. She has got a record of currently 11-0. She's a nice, tall, rangy fighter. She likes to stay on the outside, keeping it long keeping it long. But I just feel like I don't really want to just jump on one person's side. But having seen Thorslund and how aggressive and front-footed she is, and how she's a really good box fighter, I think she might just be a little bit strong for Cetin.
Yeah, I haven't seen Cetin, but I know how good Dina Thorslund is, and I don't see a lot of girls beating her. I think only the girls really at the top. I think Ebony Bridges would be a good fight. Nina Hughes would be that Japanese girl who recently beat Emily Bridges. Only those girls who are right up the top. Those are the only girls I see beating Dina. She's very good. And I hope she gets a shot, a big shot on a big show. I really hope that for her.
I really want to see her just settle into her boxing a little bit more, because she is such a good little fighter. We know that she can have it. We know that sometimes she falls a little short when she's trying to get hold of her opponent. I'd like to just see her box her way in and just put on such a great and, you know, hopefully get that opportunity. Like you say, Ebony Bridges is a good one. I think there was talk of that at some point.
Yeah, I think I heard her name fly around in and around with Ebony Bridges and stuff like that. But I don't know. I guess, you know, people like that, boxing, as you say, is a business and stuff. And Ebony will be looking at Dina Thorslund. Who is she? She hasn't got a big name. She hasn't got a big following, but she's a very good fighter. I go and I lose to this girl. I lose everything. So there's a lot of that when it comes to fighters like Dina and others, people like her. You know, Alicia Baumgardner used to be a fighter like that. You know, very unknown, very never heard of her. And then she gets the shot against Terry Harper and, you know, shocked the world. And I think, like I said, there's so many women out there that have that ability, have that skill set, have that quality, but they just not got the, you know, the limelight, the show and the time. And I think Dina Thorslund and Ebony Bridges, Dina's Forders and Nina Hughes, any of those girls, it's a good fight. I would watch it, you know. I'm a boxing purist, but I'm, like, people, you know, anyone who watches boxing, they would enjoy that fight.
So talking about Ebony Bridges for a second, because she is a former world champion, she's no longer a world champion. Can she afford to be that choosy? You know, wouldn't that put her back in sort of line of contention if she fought someone like Thorslund? Or, on the flip side, is it wise to just avoid Thorslund because she's a bit of an animal?
Definitely. That's the one now. She has to be very smart with her career. She has to be smart with the people training her. She has to be smart with her managers and who's directing her career. She's obviously, she can't be as choosy as she would have been if she was the world champion. If she's serious about boxing, she has to take the opportunities as they come. But on the same side, on the flip side, she has to be smart, because if she loses again, especially to an unknown fighter, where does she go from there? You know, she doesn't have that ability to demand fights or things like that. So I think big names but good quality girls is what she's going to be looking for, like Shannon Courtney or Nina Hughes. You know, the British public know Nina Hughes. People like that, I think, are the names she's going to look for.
And talking of Nina Hughes, for some reason, again, another one, I don't know why, is just not seeming to get the opportunities.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, she's a lot later down the line, and a lot of people don't have a lot of faith with her because of her age and, you know, things like that. But I've seen, you know, she comes down to the gym and spars Elliot quite a bit, and I see what she has done, and I've sparred her back in the day as well. She's very aggressive, very tenacious, just all action, non-stop punching. She's got a great engine, and she's a really aggressive fighter, really action-packed. And when you have someone who's good as well, who can bring that out of her, I think it comes out even more. Yeah, really good fighter. I want to see more of her.
And really and truly, if she's so supposedly over the hill, then, you know, give her an opportunity and, you know, use her as a stepping stone. If that's what people honestly think. I personally don't think it, but if you think that she's so over the hill, I tell you what, let her come on as a B-side and, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what she wants. Just an opportunity, just that fight. But it's whether or not they're going to give it to her.
Honestly, far too dangerous.
Definitely. You know, she beat Jamie Mitchell, who obviously beat Shannon Courtney, and Jamie's a good fighter, and she went and beat her. So, yeah, that tells you everything you need to know.
Yes, so looking forward to that fight on Saturday night. So today, I don't know if you've had a chance to have a look. They did that sort of face-to-face thing that they do on DAZN between Francis Ngannou and Anthony Joshua, whose heavyweight clash is on March the 8th. Someone with such limited experience in professional boxing. We know Ngannou's, you know, had a great UFC career. He has an unwavering faith that he beats AJ on March the 8th. What are your thoughts on that fight?
It's an interesting fight. I think he was written off a lot against Tyson Fury. Everyone thought Tyson Fury was just going to hold him up for 10 rounds, mess him around, maybe take him out at the end. Depends if he is bothered enough. And he turned up and shocked everyone. Everyone was shut up. Everyone had to take a moment to process what they just saw, and the fact that he put on such a great performance against the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, knocked him down, had him really pushed towards the end of the fight, and had a lot of people question about whether Tyson even won the fight. Yeah, that's what's given him such a massive ego boost, confidence boost coming into the AJ fight. AJ unfortunately has had troubles with the mental strength. People always question that about him. And there's one thing I think you can't doubt about Ngannou is his mental strength. And boxing, even though it is a physical sport, it is, about stepping in the ring and performing. It is also very mental. And being able to control the uncontrollables, being able to control your mental state, that can give you the edge. That is so important. Very overlooked, but so important. And there's one thing you can't question is Ngannou's mental strength. To step up, fight the best heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury, and put on such a performance. No quaking, no fear or anything like that. He really gave him a run for his money, and that's what's gonna give a lot of people doubts as whether or not he can do it again against AJ.
It's interesting because some people are saying that Tyson Fury wasn't at his best. It was a night off for him. I guess who knows until we see him fight next. But the most interesting thing about Ngannou is, like you said about his mental strength, he has been through so much in his life that to me, like his childhood and how he got here, and I think he was sent back and he made his way back to France. I think that gives somebody a mental edge.
I hear what you're saying. I definitely agree as well. I think, your life, everything around you, it molds you and makes you to the person you are. And I feel like when you step into the ring, I mean, this goes for me, but I feel like it's the same for everyone. I always feel like when you step into the ring, that's who you really are. And who you really are really comes out when you fight. And if you're somebody who's been fighting not just in the ring, but outside of the ring in life, I feel like that can sometimes really give you a grit. When you're down, it makes you get up. When you're hurt, you don't quit. Things like that, it really gives you a grit and a real drive to succeed and to win, because you're fighting all your life, from a little kid. People like, Clash of Shows and other people like that, when you see stories coming from stories and backgrounds and things like that, and then you watch them fight, it tells you everything you need to know. They're not just fighting for themselves, and it's not just a drive to be a world champion that's possessing them. It's something else, and that comes from, your background and where you're coming from. So, yeah.
Top class athletes like yourself, you all have the kind of the nutrition, the top nutritionalists, the mind coaches, all of those things, the top class training. But is the slight edge, like you say, just that thing of Ngannou has been fighting outside of the ring for all his life that will pip him slightly over the edge when it comes to AJ?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I can't say, I'm not, it hasn't happened and I don't know, but I definitely know that, as you say, everything that happens outside of the ring can translate into the ring, and that can be the 1%. You see people who are living they're not athletes outside of the ring. When they're in a hard fight, that pays dividends, and you see it later down the fight, that, suddenly their gas tank or suddenly their desire, suddenly, they're not fighting as hard as they should be fighting. And you see people who live the life, or they're coming from something outside of the ring. When they're in those same situations, their gas tank perseveres. Their desire is just as strong as ever, if not stronger. Their heart, it doesn't waver. So I definitely think that is the 1%. That is the 1% that can be a win or a loss. And yeah, it's about whether Ngannou has it. We only seen him have one fight against Tyson Fury. And Tyson Fury is known to be that guy that turns up. When he's fighting someone who he should win, he doesn't perform. and when he's fighting someone he should lose, he shocks the world. So, Tyson is a bit of a flaky guy to compare him with. And I think AJ is going to be the one that we're going to know now, the yardstick of how good Ngannou truly is. Was that just a fluke, or is he the real deal?
AJ has made great improvements over the last couple of fights. I think him chopping and changing trainers probably hasn't helped, but he seems to have settled under Ben Davison. Are you seeing a new AJ over the last couple of fights?
I think AJ, his last one obviously was the one that shocked a few people and had people thinking, we got a throwback AJ now. We've seen the same AJ from the Vladimir Klitschko days and the before the Ruiz loss. So, I think a coach can make or break a fighter, and sometimes going with the esteemed, the Derek James and the big names doesn't work, because it's about who you click with and who you resonate with, who can get through to you. And that could be a guy who's never trained anyone before, or it can be a massive name like a Derek James, or it could be a Ben Davis. And clearly Ben Davis is being able to click with him, and that's important. I want to see AJ perform. I want to see AJ win. I know him when I used to go up in GB days and Sheffield days, and I always liked him. So I want to see him do well. I want to see him perform and show everyone, why he brought back heavyweight boxing. He brought British boxing back and made it massive again. And so I want to see him do well. So far, he's been looking good under Ben Davison. Obviously, he's only had one fight, but that was a good show in, good show out, and he looked good. So yeah, I'm excited.
Some people are saying, he has been a unified world champion. He should effectively have that skill set already. He should be at the stage where a trainer shouldn't be able to kind of add more to his arsenal. What do you think about that line of thought?
I disagree. I think boxing, for one, the moment you stop learning, the moment you stop being that person who can never take in more information, like you've reached your capacity, is the moment that you're unfortunately maybe coming towards the end. They say, you had everyone saying it, all the greats, Canelo, everyone, Terence Crawford, they say, they have to keep learning. Every day they step in the gym, they keep learning. And, Canelo's been a world champion since forever. He's been beating the best guys since forever. Terence Crawford, all the top names, they're all keeping that same humility and that same mindset that you keep stepping in the gym, you keep learning. And also, you have to remember, AJ started boxing when he was like 17 years old. So, he isn't coming from the background of, I started boxing when I was 9, and I still got a lot to learn. So, he's coming from a very limited amateur background, coming from a very limited background. I think he's still got a lot to learn. Whether or not he has the time to learn it. He hasn't got the amateurs, and he isn't in the early stages. He's in huge fights, massive names and dangerous names. So, whereas like me now, I'm fighting smaller down names that I have time to learn. I have time to practice. Whereas he's going to be fighting the likes of Ngannou, and then he's going to maybe fight Tyson Fury, and then maybe he'll go again for the trilogy with Usyk. Those are huge names, and they're dangerous fighters. He doesn't have time to be messing around in the gym, practicing slips and ducks and rolls. He needs to keep doing what he's good at and just sharpening up on that. That I get, but I don't believe that fighting stops learning.
I agree. I think the biggest growth for me that I feel that has taken place after his loss against Ruiz and Alexander Usyk, I think mentally he was slightly fragile. It feels to me like he's gone off and done not only work in the gym, but done a lot of mental work, because he seems in such a different space. And then we saw that carried through in the fight, because he looked super confident, relaxed, less jittery, just grounded in the last fight. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Everyone was like shocked at this new AJ that we're seeing. The fight week AJ was a bit different. He was a bit more quiet, a bit more subdued. He wasn't getting caught up in the action. And then obviously the AJ on the night, he was very focused, very man on a mission like, and very, I got a job to do and I'm just going to focus on doing it. As you say, he seems to have worked a lot on the mental side outside of the ring. And to be honest, it looks like he's paying off. It looks like he's paying off.
Yeah. Looking forward to that fight. It is going to be, it's one of them, innit, that it should be on paper AJ, but Ngannou is coming in with that super just confidence there, and I guess that has me questioning my knowledge on boxing. Do you know what I'm saying?
It is. I think when he shocked Tyson Fury and shocked the British public and the boxing public, everyone questions their boxing knowledge and their boxing expertise, especially when it comes down to Ngannou. But yeah, I think honestly, I think it's an AJ win. I think his style is different to Tyson Fury, and he is someone who performs, when it comes down to it, I think. And I think Ngannou, they're a little bit more tailor-made to each other. But we'll have to see. Like you said, he's confident, and confidence is always scary.
Like I say, I'm looking forward to, and I love the fact that AJ has, taken those losses, and just built on them and hasn't kind of slinked away and given up on boxing. And I think those two losses are probably the making of AJ. You retained your IBO lightweight title against Miranda Reyes. How did you see that fight?
My coach keeps going on to me about it, but I haven't watched it back yet. I'm not someone who likes to watch my fights back, but I will watch it eventually when I'm in the right mindset. Right off the bat, it was a solid defense. I think I won every round comfortably. I was a better fighter than a better boxer. I showed that. Had more skill, better boxing IQ. I showed that. When I'm in against a really good opponent is when you're going to see the best Caroline Dubois. Like, you put me in with the Chantal Camerons and the Katie Taylors and the Beatrice Ferreiras and Alicia Baumgardners of the world. You're going to see the best Caroline Dubois step into the ring. You put me in against someone who's a bit negative, who's a bit awkward. Stylistically, they're not very conventional fighters. They're not very got that conventional pedigree style of coming through the amateurs. It's gonna be, I'll win obviously, and I'll try and make it as convincing and good as possible. But you see the best when you put me in with the best. Looking back at that fight, without watching it back, just from memory, there was so much that I was frustrated with and so much that I know that I can do better and will do better.
I thought it was an elevated performance from you, Caroline. And listen, you're still learning in the pro game, but it was, like you just said, once you get a decent opponent, then obviously your levels step up. And what I will say is I think Miranda Reyes was a good test for you, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like some of the opponents have already lost mentally against you before they've even stepped in the ring. Whereas I think Miranda Reyes was quite up for it. And I think that sort of changed the dynamic a little bit. I really enjoyed the fight, I have to say.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. That's what we do. That's what we step in the ring for. What we want to hear is that whatever the result, that the people enjoyed the fight, and it's good to hear that, you and hopefully others enjoyed it. That's what we want to hear.
Was she your toughest opponent to date?
No. No. I don't know.
I'm talking about in the pro scene, not necessarily in your fight career.
No, I hear what you're saying. I feel like Magali and Lezcano were much better fighters. I think if they fought her, they would beat her also. I think what she was is incredibly tough. She had a good chin. She was tough. She was young. I think she's the same age as me. So whereas Magali was coming towards the end, I think Magali's in her 30s. Lezcano was in, I don't know, late 20s maybe, mid to late. She's had so much more fights. Both of them have been beat. None had been knocked down or anything like that, but, in the sparring and everything like that, all that plays a role. And then obviously I'm a heavy hitter. I hit her, obviously they get knocked down, but what's her name? Rodriguez. She's so young, you know, she hasn't got that wear and tear that those girls have got just through they've been in the game a lot longer and they've been in with a lot better opponents. What she was she was obviously a bit more mouthy. She's an American. I'm not trying to be rude, but that's what they come with. They come with that energy. She was saying she was from Houston. She's obviously American. She's got good confidence and belief in herself. But it's one thing to say, you know, it's easy to speak and to talk and like give it that. It's another thing to step in the ring and give it that. I didn't feel like she gave it that, you know, I didn't feel like she tried that much. Like when I fought Magali, I could feel she really wanted to win. After the fight, her team, her dad, they came up to me and her dad, I was sitting down eating breakfast with my sister and he was like, "Oh, come, I want to speak to you. I want to speak to you." And he was very emotional and he was like, Magali really thought she was going to win that fight. She really trained her ass off. Like he was telling me how hard she had trained and the effort she had put in and how devastated he was just because of how hard she had trained. She had just fought the Olympic gold medalist Estella Mosley and had pretty much beaten her, and they didn't give her the decision, and that had given her so much confidence coming into this fight. Like they thought she was coming with experience, knowledge, and just that know-how. And she, I would say, was one of the hardest fights, her and Lascano. But Miranda, I won't say she was that.
It's interesting because she did look like she was making a great effort from the outside. You're absolutely right. She's not very experienced. I think she only started boxing about 5 years ago, and I think she bypassed the whole amateur scene and just became a pro. And yes, the wear and tear situation that you've discussed, she just won't have that. She won't have that at all. And maybe it was just like she was up for the whole experience. Do you know what I mean? The fact that she's on a big card, it was a massive opportunity for her. Wasn't she a late opponent as well?
She was a late opponent. I was supposed to be fighting Jelena Jovankovic, who's fighting Beatrice Ferreira. I was supposed to be fighting her for the IBF World title. And then obviously she pulled out, said she was unwell. And either I was going to get removed from the card, but, you know, Miranda Reyes was able to step in late notice. 3 weeks out, I think. Say, yeah, she was out for it.
Yeah, I mean, fair play. She gave quite a good account of herself. Like I say, I think some people are quite intimidated when they know that they're going to fight you. So, you know, which is a great thing, I think, to be feared. How did you feel about being chosen to be the headliner on that actual card?
I was very happy. It felt very quick. I was speaking to my coach Josh Pritchard today about it, and I was just saying it's crazy how quick female boxing moves. Like if I was a guy 8 fights in, 9 fights in, you know, I wouldn't be headlining and I wouldn't be fighting for IBO world title. I'd be still fighting, you know, someone who I can knock over very easily and still building my name, still getting more experience, still getting used to the rounds and the whole environment. And now, because I'm a female, I have to move so quick. I'm fighting for a world title. I'm headlining. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I just saying it feels like it hasn't yet caught up. Like the standard that I'm at hasn't caught up with the experience yet. And I feel like those haven't yet clicked. But it's a crazy, crazy surreal feeling, but one I embrace at the same time. And I'm so happy to be here. It's such a privilege. I'm so happy to Sky Sports for making it happen. So happy to, you know, everyone who's on my team for making it happen.
Because you've had that such a you know, a great amateur career at the top of your game, was at the Olympics, the World Games, etc., that if you had come in and sort of stretched out this journey, this pro journey, before you actually fought for a world title, I think there would have been, or do you think there would have been, some kind of backlash saying, well, you know, you should be fighting for big fights because you've got the experience versus maybe someone that's taken a longer route?
Yeah, what you're saying is 100% true. Obviously, that's what I'm saying. Female boxing moves at a quicker pace. I feel like if I was hanging around fighting the Farish Marachés and people like that, I would have had, my record would probably be 9-0, 9 KOs, and everyone would be saying, who is this Catterall Dubois fighting? He's fighting, what, taxi drivers, is that's what they say? Bin ladies and things like that, dinner ladies, and I would be getting no respect. And for myself, I would be very frustrated because, I really want to be fighting. I remember going to the O2 and fighting on the all-female card, and I was just mesmerized by the occasion. I was excited by the atmosphere. I was blown away by the talent and the skill on show, and I wanted to be in the mix. I told, Shade and the people around me, next year I want to be in the mix. I want to be in big fights, meaningful fights. And so at the same time, like, I want to move, I want to be in those fights. So it's not necessarily like I'm not ready for it. It's just a like an observation how quickly I've had to move. But the depth in female boxing is not yet there yet. We go from the bottom tier and then boom, you are world titles. There's no middle ground, there's no filler. And unfortunately that's what we have compared to the men. But if I was a male fighter, sorry, I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be fighting for a world title. I wouldn't be in those massive nights. I wouldn't be headlining, etc., etc. I'll still be on my learning curve. I'd still be fighting, your typical Joe blogs, getting those knockovers and still getting comfortable, still getting used to being a professional because I'm still very much a baby in the sport. But it's something that I embrace. Very thankful to Sky Sports and to the team around me. And also, it's something that I've wanted for so long. So, yeah, you can't complain, when you got it.
It's true. You have to grab all the opportunities. Talking about opportunities, though, and this is just a personal pet peeve of mine. I understand that, you want to be in big fights. I want to see you in big fights, but I also want to see talents being developed, and for us to kind of get to know you guys a little bit better first before you get those kind of big fights. And one of the people that I'm talking about that everyone is trying to kind of link you with at the moment is Beatrice Ferreira. There's been calls for that fight. I think a little bit too soon, if I'm honest. I'd love to see you both get that sort of financial backing. I think it has the making of a super fight. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I hear what you're saying, and I agree 1,000%. Boxing is prize fighting, and it's a business. It's for the fans to be calling for fights, but it's for the boxers and for the teams around the boxers to understand that, for one, as I said previously, female boxing doesn't have much depth. So when the big fights happen, you have to let it boil and build up a little bit, I mean, you see in the men's, they overboil it. Errol Spence and Terence Crawford didn't happen ages later. Kell Brook and Amir Khan was probably made too late.
8 years, I think it was. It not 8 years?
Literally. Tyson Fury and AJ, we still don't know if we're gonna get that one. So they're overboiling it, but in the women, you throw them in at the moment that there's potential. But that just means that the fights have no financial benefit for either fighters, and the attention that it should get. Before it could be a headliner, Sky Sports are talking about doing an all-female show at the end of the year. It could be a headliner for that. That's a big fight. If she goes to the Olympics, come back. Imagine that. Olympic gold medalist, 2-time Olympian, fighting Caroline Dubois, knockout, big puncher. It's going to be a massive fight. It's got a good story, and it's a big thing. And that a few months down the line versus now is not so big. I could be headlining versus opening the show. So it's about making the fight make sense and making it make financial sense as well. I won that fight. I believe I win. I know I'm a better fighter than Beatrice Ferreira. I think if we fought as amateurs, it would be very different. There's a lot that goes into amateur boxing that I was struggling with, making weight being one of them. But now I'm a professional. It's a total different ballgame. and it rides more to my strengths. And you've seen it already, so I believe I'm a better fighter than her, and I would love for that fight to happen, and I think it will. Probably end of this year, if not early next year.
It has the makings of being, a great trilogy fight because you're both good talents. I just personally don't want to see it. I don't mind at the end of the year, maybe next year. I get like why you're salivating. I just feel a little bit like there are certain fighters that are allowed, as in female fighters, allowed to get away with, let's say, fighting nobodies, in order to pad out their career to get to that world level. And I don't feel like you and Beatrice are being given that same. And again, it could be because you were both such top amateurs. It could be that. I don't know.
No, I think it's because we're both pushing for the big fights. I've been very vocal, and even though I'm vocal on camera, I think I'm also vocal behind the scenes. I asked to fight Magali Rodriguez, who had just beaten an Olympic gold medalist. And she's only lost like a few times, and she's a really good fighter. I asked to fight Lascana, who had only lost once, and I'd beaten her, excitingly and definitively. So it's me asking for the big fights. I think Beatrice Ferreira, to be honest, is that kind of girl. I think she would fight tomorrow, for £5, let alone, thousands. I think she would fight regardless. She doesn't care about the money. She's that kind of fighter. And as you're saying, there's people who are very much more like, I know my limitations, and I really want to pad my record out a bit here. And I think it's clear that me and others aren't that kind of people. We're not that kind of people. I'm calling for the Katie Taylors and the Chantel Camerons and the so-and-sos because I believe in my own ability, and I believe that I belong in the ring with those girls. So I want it sooner rather than later, to be honest. And with the Beatrice Ferreira, I think it's a great fight. I think she should go to the Olympics, see how she does out there, probably get a medal, come back, and then that's a big fight. And that's how I'm seeing it. It's a big money fight, and it makes sense.
I just want you girls to earn some really decent money out of this. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I think it's a given that it's a great fight. I really do. I mean, anyone that knows boxing knows that is a huge, huge fight, and it's gonna put more eyes on the sport.
Yeah.
And especially on the female game. But I just really want you guys to earn, a good wage out of it as well.
Definitely. That's obviously the massive, important part about boxing, right?
Listen, she's going to the Olympics. I think she's always said that she was going to go back for a second term. Do you wish that you'd done the same? Do you have any regrets about just staying in the pro scene? Where is your mind at with that?
When I was turning pro, I didn't want to turn pro. I was very much not wanting to turn pro. Didn't think it was actually going to happen. I remember turning up for my first professional meeting with Eddie Hearn, and I was thinking in the back of my head, whatever he says, I don't care. I'm going to make it so that I can go back to the amateurs and the Olympics. But then, obviously, Sky, I met with Sky, and they were very, enthusiastic. I wouldn't say persuasive or anything like that. They were very enthusiastic. They were overly enthusiastic, and I was shocked by how enthusiastic they were. I had just gone to the Olympics, and I didn't medal, and I was telling myself, like, these people, why are they wanting to sign me? I haven't gotten anything to show for it. I know how good I am. Don't get me wrong. I still know how good I am. I sparred all those girls, and I know how good I am. But when it came down to it, I unfortunately didn't get to walk away with anything. And these people they don't care. They're throwing money at me that is insane. They're throwing promises and contracts and things like that. And I'm like, what is going on? And then obviously I turned pro with them. I signed over. And at first I remember having a moment with my brother, and I was like, I want to go back to the Olympics. But then I stuck with it, and then I started training and fighting, and I feel like boxing is one of those sports where you really have to give it 1,000%. You can't twiddle and put one foot in and one foot out. You can't, have your eggs in different baskets. You have to fully dedicate your life. And I knew that with the pros and the stylistically, I feel like I'm more suited to the pros anyway. And it came to a point, I think, the O2, the all-female show, and I was like, okay, this is it. I'm gonna commit 1,000%, and let's go. Let's give it everything. And that's what I've done from that moment on, I think.
What's amazing to hear is not only, we've talked about this before, about how, Sky Sports and Boxer came after you. They really kind of, like you say, were throwing money at you. But they weren't just talking. They seem to have kept their word and have really sort of guided your career in such a great, it's very, very early on still, but they've guided it in such a way that you're getting the best sort of platform, not only in boxing, but outside of boxing as well. What is nice also is I still think that, confidently you're growing, you're blossoming. You've spoken about your confidence and your abilities, and your faith in God. Can you discuss how your beliefs and mindsets contribute to your success in the ring?
I think, when we step in the ring, we're very exposed, we're very vulnerable. It's a very vulnerable environment. You can get knocked out, you can get embarrassed, you can be humiliated, you can lose not just a fight, but everything. So it's very vulnerable. So being very strong mentally, like I said previously, boxing is a very mental sport. And to walk into the ring with belief and faith in God, belief and faith in something greater than you, that you were put here for a reason, that your life is written and everything happens for a reason, is a very motivating and very humbling feeling. And it can really calm your spirit, calm your mind, and let you know that whatever's going to happen is going to happen. All you have to do is fight. All you have to do is perform. I pray that, nothing ever happens. No one walks out the ring with any lifelong problems. But other than that, I just pray that we walk in, walk out healthy, and that I fight and I can perform. All I ever, pray for is strength to do what I have to do. And that's so far what I've been given.
There's such a maturity about how you've approached all of this newfound fame, but also, steeped in faith that you've been able to keep your feet on the ground, which is really great to hear. Really, really great to hear. There has been a brief mention of a family dispute relating to your brother Daniel. How do you manage family dynamics and distractions while preparing for such an important fight like your last one?
Having things happen outside of the ring is gonna happen. Boxes, people outside of the ring, the audience and the cameras and the action and everything, they only see us step into the ring. It's like the iceberg. For the Titanic, you only see the tip, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And I feel like a lot of athletes, and I guess, stars, celebrities, etc., you only see them on camera. You don't see what's happening behind the camera. And I guess this is just, a message to anyone watching. Like, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and you just have to have a lot of respect for anyone who steps into the ring. Anyone who steps into the ring and performs, because we're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for our families and more than ourselves. So yeah, it's hard. But it is what it is. It's life, unfortunately. It's family. It is what it is.
I think it's a making of somebody actually that can deal with personal things behind the scene, because not everyone can do that, and yet put it aside, put it in a box and put the lid on fight night or, competition day and perform to the best of their ability to get into that flow state. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that some people are not able to do it, and there's no shade on that, and some people are just better at doing it, aren't they?
Yeah, it's about whether or not you're used to situations like that. and how you've been brought up, I guess, and what kind of life you've lived, and how mentally strong you are, and how your faith is, and how your support circle is. So, boxing is an individual sport. We step in the ring alone, but we don't get to the ring alone. To get into the ring, we have to be trained. We have to have, people around you supporting you, preparing your food, and making sure that things are ready here and there. So it's very much, we step in the ring alone, but we need a team to get us to the ring. So having a team around you is also very important.
I've seen that you've been doing some very interesting things outside of boxing recently. You did a photo shoot, didn't you? For Sky, was it for Sky, or was it for Sky Sports, or was it a magazine and then Sky Sports just covered it?
What, the Sky Sports editions?
Yeah, I mean, you got the full kind of glam experience. You look great.
Yeah, so that was something to do with Sky Sports. This editions kind of short documentary kind of things where they capture like lots of different female athletes in their sports, and how their lives outside the sports meshes with their life in their respective sports. They did it with a footballer, obviously me, Tasha Jonas as a boxer. They did it with a golfer and things like that, and it was a nice little twist. And to see, obviously that we're athletes, but we're female athletes, so that was cool.
So can you share how your style has evolved over the years, and what factors have influenced your fashion evolution?
I wouldn't say that I'm a fully developed human yet, so I feel like my style is still changing. My beliefs and my opinions are still molding. So far at 23 years old, I would say that I would hope that I'm strong. I keep in touch with my feminine side, and I'm an athlete, and I'm a sister, and I'm a supporter.
You're unique, you're strong. And how do these attributes reflect your personality and identity?
Just growing up and being inspired more so by a lot more female fighters, and a lot more female athletes, and a lot more black female athletes. Growing up as a kid, I didn't have many role models that, obviously looked like me. And that's why I think I was so tuned in when I saw Claressa Shields. Growing up, I was the only one who had hair like mine, and you know what it's like when you're sweating and your hair shrinks and and you feel ugly. You got your kit on, and you don't have the cute, swishy supermodel just finished training. You can't pull out the messy one. That doesn't work. So you're hitting puberty. You're not sure if you're attractive or not. And at the same time, you're an athlete. So being attractive is not the forefront. So it was very important to find role models, and it's very important to find people who look like you. It's so important. I'm not going to be a role model for everyone. It's impossible. But for the people that I will be, that's what's important. It's about finding the niche and connecting with them. And luckily, I had Claressa Shields, and now there's so many more female people coming through. You got Alicia Baumgardner, you got me, you got Natasha Jonas, you got people like that you can relate to on a deeper level, and see yourself being like. Yeah, I feel like my fashion sense is developed. I'm more in touch with my feminine side. I'm more comfortable in my own skin, more comfortable being muscular, more comfortable with my hair, more comfortable with how I look and who I am. So it's still a process. I'm 23, so I'm not fully where I am yet. You may see me in 2 years' time and I'm fully changed, but I'm still growing and learning. So
I think what happens with particularly female athletes, we kind of get stuck in a kind of rut of trainers, tracksuits. Nothing wrong with that. Pulling back the hair and just getting on with it. Like you said, I think there is the importance with showing both sides. I think especially as black athletes, because sometimes we're taught that we're not conventionally beautiful. If you've got natural hair, it's like, why don't you fix your hair? And it is about trying to be you and be comfortable in your own skin, but also just recognizing that you are attractive as well. And I think
Mm.
Like you say, having those role models like Clarissa Shields that looks like you. She's the same complexion as you, and she's attractive, and it's like, okay, well, there's somebody that looks like me, and she's confident, and she knows she's attractive. That kind of would have it would give me the confidence to say, actually, yeah, I'm attractive too. Especially in the media, we're not always seen as being attractive, are we?
Definitely.
It also plays into the opportunities that we get as well as black females.
Yeah.
The doors might open more if you show a more softer feminine side, because apparently we're all aggressive.
I know, masculine and butch.
Allegedly. But yeah, you've mentioned facing negative comments about your appearance as you grew older.
Yeah.
How did you navigate those challenges and cultivate that confidence in yourself? Because, we have all probably at some stage, not just as women, but particularly as black women, particularly with darker skin complexions, we have been made to feel unattractive.
Yeah, definitely, as you say, the media is a very powerful tool, and it can make you look a certain way. It can portray a certain people above a certain other people. It can portray anything, and we're only the consumers. We only consume what we're given, and for a long time, being beautiful was you have to look one way. You have to be skinny. You have to be this. You have to have long hair. You have to be fair or whatever. And for the people that don't fit that trope, suddenly you're left out looking, with egg on your face. So, but luckily now we got, a lot of people, using social media for a different way. You see a lot of, Instagram, a lot of young women just putting themselves out there and showing themselves in a different light. And as you say, you don't have to fit into one bracket. You can be many things. As a female athlete, you don't just have to be an athlete. You can be a woman, you can be this, you can be that. And it's about portraying that and being comfortable has that in your own skin, who you are, who God put you on this earth to be. Just be comfortable who you are and accept it at the end of the day. And you're seeing a whole massive trope of that, and hopefully that's inspiring to a lot of young kids coming through.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you say, you having somebody like Clarissa Shields to look up to, it gives you a permission. Whereas in the media, like you say, there was a certain type that was being portrayed as beautiful. And I'm not saying that they're not beautiful, but equally, there is a wider palette to be enjoyed. Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't think that we were being as and also that comes down to the opportunity. So I think for me, seeing you, just like I said before, blossom, and now you're doing all these, you're taking these opportunities and showing a different side to yourself. And I know how that's going to impact on some little girl somewhere.
Of course, definitely. I was that little girl once upon a time, just looking for, I used to, just look at, I remember going on YouTube, like tapping in how to style your hair for training, because I didn't know how to do it. I used to tap in, how to do your makeup and things like that. And it was, other black women that I tap in and look for. So it's very important to have that role model. It's very important to see. It's so important. And it's crazy. I don't know when the change happened for me being just that little girl to now being the role model. I don't know. I don't know when it happened. It happened overnight, it seems. But all I have to do, I guess, is keep being myself.
There is a noticeable shift also in the acceptance of, female muscular bodies. This is now something that's been embraced and seen attractive by both men and women. Do you think that that's kind of helped to shift people's perspectives about beauty?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of, women fighters and athletes, not just fighters. You see gymnastics, they're big, they're strong. You see, rock climbers, runners, people like that. And all these athletes, they're they're just comfortable in themselves. And now there's a whole gym movement. Everybody's going to the gym, and everyone's buying the leggings from Gymshark, and everybody's got the waist trainers on and stuff like that. You know, being strong is now attractive and it's in. So yeah, it's definitely now becoming more accepted and more, you know, like people want to achieve that body, people want to achieve that physique. So yeah.
I always try to avoid controversy, but I'm gonna have to ask you anyway. This whole thing about the Rhiannon Dixon narrative, you're saying that she pulled out of a fight with you that was supposed to be mandatory. Her camp is saying that she was given an opportunity to fight elsewhere for the vacant WBO lightweight world title. She's chosen to go down that route. But she says she'll look to fight you after you fought Beatrice Ferreira. If so, in your opinion, which is the bigger fight for you?
What is a bigger fight? What generates more money? Well, put it like this: when Eddie Hearn offered me the Rhiannon Dixon fight, he offered me more money than when he offered me the Beatrice Ferreira fight. So, I would say Rhiannon Dixon is a bigger name domestically. I think Beatrice Ferreira is a million miles a better fighter. I think she'll go to the Olympics, come back, and maybe she'll become a bigger name. I don't know. Things change in 6 months. They change, you know. You can't look at what's happening now because in the next fight, she may lose the next fight. She's got a really tough opponent, so she needs to focus on that. Karen Carvajal is no game, no joke. You know, she pushed Katie Taylor hard and she's skillful, man. She's got good skills and someone who I was also looking to fight. So yeah, she needs to focus on that because there's no guarantee that she'll win it. I would not be surprised if Karen Carvajal wins that fight. So yeah, she needs to focus on that. What would I say is a bigger fight? Right now, if we were to fight tomorrow, I would say Rhiannon Dixon is a bigger fight. But as you all know, Beatrice is going to the Olympics, gonna come back. Maybe she'll medal again, and if she does, I think, you know, that improves her name, that improves her following. She'll become a bit bigger, a bit more well known, and then obviously is a bigger fight. She's a better fighter, so the fight itself will always be more interesting.
It's interesting. I assume everyone knows who Beatrice is. I'm probably because, you know, obviously I come from the amateur scene like yourself. I just assumed everyone knew who she was, but obviously not.
Obviously not. Definitely not.
That's crazy that you would be offered more money. I guess it makes sense though, because it is if you were to fight Rhiannon, it is a domestic clash. Whereas I think you and Beatrice, that's a kind of global level. Because she has a good following, you have a good following. But do you respect Rhiannon, the fact that she came from white collar, she had no kind of real amateur background, and yet she's mixing it with you girls at the top?
Not really, no. I don't respect that. Listen, I respect anyone who steps into the ring, and I respect the fact that she's fighting for a world title. But in terms of me just going, she was a white collar fighter, so now I have so much respect because now she's a pro fight. No, that's not where my respect is gained and earned. You know, my respect isn't given out, doled out by what you achieved in such a short span of time. She still has got a lot to achieve and she's still got a big fight ahead of her. She wins that fight, then yeah, I'll respect her. My respect level will definitely increase, but I don't really care about where she comes. She could be never had a fight before, you know. If she's in the ring and if she's got a belt and I want it, then that's what I want.
And if she does win, if she does come through this next fight, would it be a case of you would rather fight Beatrice before, get a few belts under, you know, a few belts on your arm if you win, or would you go the Dixon route to make the money?
I don't know. Whatever opportunity presents itself the quickest, the easiest, and the more financial is the one I will go to. This is prize fighting, and that's what, you know, my manager, his job is to do is get the most money. I don't think, honestly, hand on heart, Rhiannon Dixon wants the fight. I don't think her team want the fight. You know, I've heard from her team and from what people have said about her team, they don't want the fight. They will never want that fight in a million years. I want the Beatrice Ferreira fight, but I'm thinking it's such a big fight. It's such a good fight. Like, that is a spoil for the fans. Like,
100%. I agree.
that is a massive, really good fight. We saw Michaela Mayer, Tasha Jonas on the weekend. We seen Katie Taylor and Chantel Cameron. That's the level that fight would be at. It would be really good. So it just makes more sense to wait a little bit. Rhiannon Dixon, on the other hand, as you said, just turned pro from white collar. Trust me, if I fight Rhiannon Dixon, it would not be that competitive. It will not be that even. It will not be that exciting. And I don't know how long she's going to stick around. How successful she's going to be. That's still to be decided. I don't know. So I'm thinking make that fight happen now, because I don't know if she'll win the next one. I don't know if she'll be a world champion. I don't know, honestly. I'm not saying it to disrespect her or put her down. I don't know if she'll win that fight. But I know for a fact, if Beatrice Ferreira goes and fights for a world title, she'll win it. Now, I know for a fact, if I go for a world title, I'll win it too. So that's why I'm saying we can wait that a little bit. But let's make that one happen now. But listen, she's got a team saying, let's go the money fights, the big name fights, and the title fights versus fighting Caroline Dubois, where it's a little bit, shady.
But to be fair, let's play devil's advocate. Isn't that smarter for them to avoid, a potential hiccup in her journey by fighting somebody like yourself? Where, let's be fair, there are named fighters that are like, Caroline Dubois, don't want it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, of course, I get that. That's what I'm saying. I understand why she's gone for the Karen Carvajal. I totally understand it, and I respect that more than anything. I get that. No problem. And I think that's a really good fight. Karen Carvajal and Rhiannon Dixon is a really good fight. I think the winner proves themselves as a legitimate world champion, and yeah.
So I had on Kaylee Reese a couple of weeks ago, former world champion, and she was. I'd spoken to her about you a long time ago, and I said, "God, this is a kid to watch out for," and she was saying that she just loves how you're getting, because I've noticed it as well, how you're getting quite spicy before fights as well.
I don't know. You have to find the person to bring it out. No, I mean, we're fighters. We have it inside of us. We got our blood is hot and fiery. It has to be for us to step in the ring, right?
Yeah, listen, 100%. But it's just funny because she was like, "Oh, she's chirping now. She's getting a bit mouthy," which she is. Let's be fair, she's enjoying it. She's really enjoying it. Had a lot to say about, what a great talent you are as well. So yeah, that's quite nice.
Appreciate that. Good to have.
Any sort of dates for the next fight, or is it still under wraps?
I'm looking for the next one to be a really big one. Hopefully that can come over the line and it can be announced very soon. But it's looking to be May time. Early May, so that's the next date potentially. Like 80% sure that's where I'll be fighting next, and the fight itself is looking to be a big one, a big name, and hopefully, God willing, for a title.
Well, listen, enjoying your journey so far. Like I say, very proud of you, and you can tell me who it is after we finish.
And then I see you on Instagram, on Twitter or something.
What, are you crazy?
Anonymous.
What, are you calling me a glass?
No. We'll see.
Well, listen, thanks ever so much for giving us your time, and I look forward to seeing you out again soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.